Welcome to the Kino Cave, and today I'm going to be talking about Season 1 of Better Call Saul. So I have no Breaking Bad related material in my room, so enjoy Batman and the Xenomorph behind me because I've yet to buy a Blu-ray. So I'm really late in the game when it comes to watching Breaking Bad. I remember everybody talking about it as I was going through my teenage years, and I started getting recommended it a lot from my friends, and a lot of the friends that I go to college with reference it endlessly. So I figured it was about time I watched the show last year. And I finished the show a few months ago, and holy crap, it is one of my favorite shows ever now. I can't stop thinking about it, talking about it, recommending it to other people. I'm rewatching it with my dad, and I'm also rewatching it with my girlfriend. So I'll just endlessly rewatch it at this point. I really do love that show, and of course I had to start watching Better Call Saul as well. So Better Call Saul Season 1 follows Jimmy McGill as he tries to make his way in the world as a lawyer. I really like the character of Jimmy McGill in Season 1. I like how he's trying to do the right thing all the time and tries to build cases and really stay on the right side of justice. It almost makes me sad, having finished the first season, knowing that eventually he will go down a dark path and get into a life of crime as a criminal lawyer. I like the fact that I care about Jimmy and want him to succeed and want him to do the right thing. Saul Goodman in Breaking Bad isn't much of his own character. He is mostly comic relief, and he's full of charisma, which is why I think he's such a great character. Even before I started watching Better Call Saul, he was probably in my top 5 favorite Breaking Bad characters. I love the fact that now we get to see the origin of Saul Goodman as Jimmy McGill, and I love that we get to see more nuance and see what leads to him becoming who he is. And I love how we can see his personality early on in the show and see how his origins as Slippin' Jimmy and this kind of con artist, you can see the origins of Saul Goodman in that, in name and in his actions. I like how Jimmy is genuinely a really smart guy. He's borderline a genius, I reckon. He tries to apply his techniques as a con artist into being a lawyer, and I really enjoyed seeing him work his way through situations with these different cases that he faces in the first season. In terms of the other characters in this show, I like how they didn't just reuse a bunch of Breaking Bad characters that wouldn't make any sense. I think it makes sense for Mike because Mike and Jimmy already knew each other by the time they came into Breaking Bad. So I love that. I like the little bit of fan service that we get at the end of the first episode. I'll get into that more when I talk spoilers for the season. I like how this world is expanding beyond Breaking Bad. And I like that we're getting new characters now that will no doubt add more to this world. In terms of these supporting characters and their relationship with Jimmy, I really like Chuck. I wasn't sure about him at first. It seemed kind of weird in one note, like a character that's been flanderized before he even becomes a full character yet. Although Chuck and his relationship with Jimmy really started to grow on me. There's a lot of great scenes of them, especially in the second half of the first season. I really liked seeing all this stuff with Chuck, especially in the second half of the first season. He doesn't have much to do in the first half of the first season, but that kind of makes sense. Either way, I'm really liking Chuck as a character, especially his relationship with Jimmy. I really like Jimmy's developing relationship with Mike as well. I found a lot of their scenes to be really, really funny, and I like how they are starting to build a relationship as friends and sort of colleagues as well. I like seeing the introduction of their relationship in this show, and I like how Jimmy and Mike are both getting development that they didn't have in Breaking Bad. I really liked Jimmy showing his skills as a lawyer. Obviously we didn't get any of that in Breaking Bad, which makes sense. He's not a main character, he's more of just a recurring character. But I like how Jimmy is solving cases, he's going to court, he's defending clients, he's building up his repertoire as a lawyer. I really enjoyed that. If I had any real negatives with the show before getting into spoilers, I found that his relationship with Kim was a little bit one note. There wasn't really much to that. I like that they're friends. I like Kim's character in itself. I just want to see more development of that in the coming seasons, which I hope that we get. My only other spoiler-free negative would be that the show can be a little bit slow in its first season. I think that some episodes kind of meander, where not a whole lot happens in the grand scheme of the story when it comes to different characters. For better or worse, it can be very slow. We spend a lot of time with Jimmy just getting from place to place in terms of his career, and it felt like a lot of meandering with very little development in the story or the characters. So I think if we got a little bit more of that, this would be a season on the same level as Breaking Bad. So from now on, I'm going to be talking about spoilers for Better Call Saul season 1. I obviously, as someone who's watching this like 10 years after it started, I care a lot about spoilers for the show. So I'm going to show the same respect to anybody else who might not have seen the show. So from here on out, spoilers for season 1 of Better Call Saul. I would absolutely recommend that you go watch the show, go watch Breaking Bad. I don't think it doesn't seem to really matter what order you watch them in, at least at this point in Better Call Saul for me. So I would 100% recommend this first season. A big kind of spoilery thing that I wanted to get into was the episode that focuses on Mike, and why that's such a great episode, but also in the grand scheme of things in the season kind of hurts the show a little bit. I loved this episode. It was my favorite episode of the show. We got so much with Mike, so much emotion, so much character development. We got to see the sort of origins of how he came to be in Albuquerque and what he's doing now. And it was just such a great episode. I teared up in the final kind of monologue when Mike is talking about his son and talking about morality and all that, and it was just such a great episode. And my only issue with it is that it is the best episode of a show that is about Jimmy McGill. Jimmy gets a lot of development throughout the season, but there is not an episode with Jimmy in it that is as good as this episode that focuses on Mike. In terms of the whole season, I think it kind of hurts the other episodes of the show because this one's just so damn good, but I also can't really complain because holy shit, what a great episode. In terms of the actual cases that Jimmy solves in these movies, I really liked the stuff with the Kettlemans. I fucking hate the woman, what's her name? I can't remember. But the guy's wife, she's like Dolores Umbridge from Harry Potter levels of like just hatred for a character in a piece of media. She's just so far up her own ass, and you love to hate her because you just really want to see her get taken down a peg, because at the end of the day, this guy did wrong and he deserves to be punished for it. I love how Jimmy handled that case. I love how he did the right thing and returned the money, and it's really satisfying seeing Jimmy overpower the Kettlemans and give them what's coming to them. I also really liked the elder law case, and I found that to be really compelling. It was really tough seeing Jimmy hit roadblocks in this case because you wanted him to solve it so bad, and you wanted this company to face retribution for what they did, and it really sucked when the case had to be handed over to what's the big law firm anyway. It really sucked seeing Jimmy have to give up that case for a paycheck. I really liked the last few episodes, especially the stuff with Marco and seeing Jimmy go back to his Slippin' Jimmy days and just seeing him kind of in his prime as a pretty bad guy. And it was just so much fun to see, and I love how he realizes that he has moved past that point in his life. And it was very emotional then when Marco ended up dying, and you do feel for Jimmy a lot in that scenario. I also really liked seeing Jimmy's relationship with Chuck and seeing it develop and then break down. I loved the twist that Chuck has basically been placing roadblocks in front of Jimmy the entire time. Chuck has this weird resentment for Jimmy just because he kind of took a shortcut, but I just really want to see justice be done. I want to see Jimmy show Chuck that he can be a really great lawyer, and I want to see this sense of justice come in. And yeah, it's really compelling stuff. The fact that I really want to see Chuck get taken down a peg and see Jimmy become this really great lawyer just speaks to the quality of the show. One of my very few negatives of this season is I found the decision that Jimmy makes to turn his back on doing the right thing to be a little bit rushed. It seems that just Marco died, and then he realized that it's way more fun to do the wrong thing than the right thing. And then at the last minute, he just turns around and realizes that he wants to do something else with his life. I felt like it should have taken more than that. And I know it's kind of silly to think that I wanted it to take more than his friend dying to make him make a big life decision. But I found that it should take more than him realizing how much he enjoys doing the wrong thing to make him turn around and turn his back on the right thing. Because it took a lot for him to realize that he had to do the right thing and wanted to do the right thing. And I felt good that he did. And then he just turns around at the last minute and decides, nope, fuck doing the right thing. Doing the wrong thing is easier and better. I don't know. I felt like something way worse should have maybe happened to him. He should have faced maybe a little bit more before he makes a decision like that. I don't mind him making it at the end of the first season. In fact, I think it's really good to move the plot along. I can't wait for season 2 and see how he works with that idea of fuck doing the right thing. But I don't know. I felt like the decision happened a little too quick, or maybe not enough happened to him to make him really want to do that. One thing, and it seems like a really small thing that I really like with the first season of this show, is that Jimmy doesn't go by Saul Goodman in this show. He does it once when he's doing his Slippin' Jimmy act, and that's a nice little nod to the way he's going to turn out in the future. But I don't know, I really appreciated that Jimmy didn't turn around, because I thought that at the end of the last episode he was kind of talking himself up and kind of practicing how he was going to do in the interview, and I fully thought they were going to do like this dumb thing where he was going to go like, hi, I'm Saul Goodman. And in retrospect, like, I kind of wanted that to happen, but in retrospect I realized how stupid that would have been, and I actually really appreciate the show for not doing that yet. I think it's great that we get to know Jimmy first, and we know him as Jimmy McGill first, because we've got 4 seasons technically, because he's not in the first season. We've seen him as Saul Goodman, as this person, as this fully developed character. I like that in Better Call Saul we get to see him slowly become this character over time. He doesn't just turn around and decide, I'm Saul Goodman and I'm a criminal lawyer and this is my life now. I like that we're seeing this develop over a long period of time. And frankly, I don't care when we get the name drop that he's going to go by Saul Goodman now. I'm just along for the ride with that. I just can't wait to see more of Jimmy. I'm starting to see him more as Jimmy now than Saul, which is what I really wanted. I wanted to see him be his own character, and it's going to be so satisfying when I get to see him as Saul Goodman. So those are my thoughts on Better Call Saul Season 1. I can't wait to jump into Season 2. I've not even started it yet. I wanted to film this review before I start Season 2, so that the only impression I have of the show right now is Season 1. And I absolutely can't wait to keep going with the show. I'm really loving Jimmy McGill's character. I'm loving the stuff with Mike, and I just can't wait to see more from the Breaking Bad universe. And I'm going to be very sad when I get to the end of Better Call Saul and realize that I have seen all of it and that there's nothing new to watch. But I'm going to really enjoy the next 5 more seasons of Better Call Saul, that's for sure. So with that being said, comment below, let me know what you think of my thoughts maybe on Season 1 of Better Call Saul, because I imagine a lot of people have probably already seen it, and if you want to see more reviews especially, I will do a review for every season of Better Call Saul as I finish watching them. So subscribe if you want to see those videos come out in the coming months probably. Revisiting his Slippin' Jimmy J. Fuck. I also really liked how Jimmy's relationship with Fuck. So many tongue twisters in this review.